Yeah, please go ahead. We'll go ahead with this.
Naturally, it is neither the ideal nor the peak. It is only a guide to lead you through life, a check that protects you from extravagances, excesses, and disordered passions, and above all, from such impulsive acts as may lead you to the abyss. One must be quite sure of oneself, quite free from ego, and perfectly surrendered to the divine will, if one is to dispense with reason safely. The mother's words are very clear and incessantly definite in regard to the role reason plays in our life. So long as the ego and desires are there in us, so long as we are swayed by passions and attachments, preferences, and prejudices, the guidance of reason is indispensable. To surrender reason is to surrender to darkness and invite disaster. But sometimes, not sometimes, many a times, we are not able to you know, come out of our desires and passions. We do not know. We just want it, that's all. But for that also, in one of the interviews from Ashramites, it came, sometime back, 2, 3 years back, I saw one lady was speaking. She wanted to attend Savitri classes taught by Nolini Dar, some Nirodha. She wanted to attend the class very badly, but she asked the mother. She was working in some department, so she went and asked the mother. Mother said, "No, you're not going. You have to work here." But she couldn't resist that. It was going around, round, round, and she was very upset. She could not concentrate with what she was doing. So after 4 or 5 days, she decided to go and ask the mother again. So she sends message through somebody, Nolnida or some, I forgot that. Mother says no. She does not need to go. She has to work here. But after a week or so, she fell ill. Because that desire, though it was Savitri, but she couldn't come out of it. So again, she asks permission to meet the mother. So that time she says, no, there is no permission. So she goes to her room and starts praying the mother, please, mother, take away this desire from me. I am not able to handle it. And she was diagnosed with diabetes, but she always eats a lot of sweets. So that also she says, like eating sweets, this is also a desire. For some reason, mother is saying, don't do that. So she prays to the mother, and after praying, after surrendering everything, she was feeling better. So within a week, mother gave her permission to come and see her. That time she said, now you're okay. Everything is done. No, mother, I was feeling very bad. That why did you tell me not to go to Savitri classes? Don't ask all that. If I say no, you don't need to go. But you should know how to surrender yourself, how to surrender your desires. That always comes to me, because we all have a lot of desires and attachments to everything. But, sometimes I I will do this one, when I feel like eating something, I'll go tell the mother, please, mother, I don't want to eat. Please take away this desire from me. Or buying something, we can very much, see. If we tell the mother, it will definitely melt, it will go away from us. But desire is a great enemy and friend, as this book says. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. No, I think it will be an experience of all of us that at times we have to live through those desires. Now, as mother says, that some desires may be a little less, or maybe you can say, maybe some of them are harmless, superficially harmless, and some of them maybe like really they can lead us into darkness and abyss, following those impulses which are like animal like and really ambitious and full of vehemence, rage. And we do that like, उसने मेरे साथ ऐसे कैसे कर दिया, people kill each other, and then so these are like bigger, so-called bigger things, from which it's very difficult then to come out of that guilt after you murder someone, for example. It's very hard, so, or there are some things like, okay, eating a jalebi, or what you were sharing, that wanting to eat something. And after a while, I think, see, since divine victory is certain, that's why we are in safe hands all the time. After a while, after eating enough jalebi or having diabetes, even after that eating jalebi, we actually get tired of it, won't we? We do. And then we want to seek something higher, something more fulfilling, because we see that although I'm having jalebi, but it's not fulfilling me. So slowly that disgust also begins to develop towards, look at jalebi, it was, like lived enough. And then we are ready to move on. So if not by listening to somebody who says, okay, no, you can't do that. So I think it's what you were sharing, that it's our surrender is not full, because if I'm fully relying on the mother and when the mother says no, now when I need to question that why are you saying no, okay, tell me, give me the reason, what you were sharing, that the surrender is not full. Something in me is restless, wanting reason. No, I want to connect dots. And that also may have its right place in the story. But if I'm not able to do that, then I have to go through a little turmoil, like the rough patch she went through, the sadhak that you were talking of. And then reach another phase of like relative ease, and then again before something else comes up.
But this goes uh, for anger also, Monica. Yesterday I saw that, See,
Mm-hmm.
I was getting angry for something on my husband. He was doing something which I didn't like. I was, about to break something because, that it's a very small thing, but, it was irritating me so badly. I said something cynically to him. Then I came out. Then I thought, what did I tell him now? So I went, stood in front of the mother. Mother, why I am like this? Please give me peace. Peace, peace. So I just stood for 2 minutes, started calling peace, and within no time, that anger. See, now I'm laughing. Yesterday too, I was laughing, but within no time, that anger vanished. I was asking the mother because my husband was praying there. After getting scolding from me, he was praying and he was going out. After seeing him, I got still more angry. I could see how the
Yeah.
anger was coming out, and immediately I thought, no, 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 I should not be like this. See, mother, how I am. Please change me. Please give me peace. Peace, peace. For 1 minute, within 1 minute, I could see the change. That peace came,
Beautiful,
and that
beautiful.
beautifully that anger vanished.
Yeah, and see, I think it's like a win-win situation for both. What you shared, that he also began praying to mother. Wow, okay. So maybe you should do this drama more often.
Generally, if I say something, he will say something, and it will become a big,
Yeah, yeah.
But yesterday it didn't happen. But after he also went out, when I was going in the car, so I remembered what Taru was saying, one
Mm.
in one of the sessions. Why are you two? You are also doing the same thing. If he does the same thing, you are also doing the same thing. So nobody is right, nobody is wrong. Both are in the same boat only. So I should not get angry. Then I started feeling bad for myself. Then I thought, no, no, I should not feel bad. It's okay. It came, so I surrendered to the mother. Then I'm all right. Now, no, no digging the past. It's okay, no problem. So I could see this, beautifully yesterday. But only thing that timely surrender is very much required. That most of the times we won't do.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yes.
I made everybody laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to be able to laugh on ourselves. That's what, yes. Thank you. Yes. So I think it's very important that as long as ego and desire is there, which will maybe we have to be very careful and cautious to see that it's still there, it's still there. So long as ego and the desire are there in us, so long as we are swayed by passions and attachments, preferences and prejudices, guidance of reason is indispensable. So I think this is what we have to look for within ourselves by our own, because nobody can tell me this. I have to look, be vigilant myself. And again, as they say, it's better to be safe than sorry. So I think we must take reason far along in the journey, and then naturally it will shed itself off. We won't have to come to a stage where I'm thinking, oh, whether I should use reason or not use reason. I think naturally, as it become takes itself to the peak, of utilization and disciplines the being, we come to a point where a higher faculty develops in its natural progression, and then it's like falling off of a old skin. Yeah, it seems like that when we get in touch with that knowing within, through knowing we are following the unfolding of life, not through planning, execution, and not execution, not to calculation, all the time. So then we don't even need to think about reason, because then there is a purity in the being, and we can sense that purity. Just like we can sense impurity, we can sense purity. So as long as that journey goes, very long, till that point when we are doubtful, so again, I think for me it feels very important that if I'm doubtful about my intentions, then better use reason. That I don't know whether it's intuition or what, but if there is no doubt and it's a pure and goodwill, wherever in the direction the mind goes or the action goes, then of course go ahead. But as long as there is doubt, reason must be used. Sounds reasonable.
While we were reading this, I just remembered I have a distant relative who had diabetes, when Sadari was sharing. And the doctors obviously told him not to eat sweets and all. And he said, it's not a possibility for me. So then they put him on insulin injections, I think once a week, then every day. And then every time he would eat something sweet, they said, you'll have to take it, otherwise you'll have to stop. So instead of having the nurse, he learned to do it himself, and all his arms and all, had those, like, because he was taking so many. Then he turned blind. And yet he couldn't stop. He said that's not a possibility for me. So development of this disgust also is grace, because this is just a loud example because it's physical and I'm saying he turned blind. But there are so many times that desires do consume us, right? Like we lose ourselves in finding a desire. So I mean, just that disgust also comes with grace that, okay, you've had enough, because a lot of times we don't feel we have had enough.
I think we had touched upon even as Sri Aurobindo says, desire is a helper, desire is the bar. So that aspect also we had touched upon. Just to shortly share about that, that if, for example, I'm lying down on the bed and for maybe 3 days I'm just lying down, I don't want to get up, too much laziness, too much inertia, and now I feel like a desire for having something. It could be anything. For that, I'll have to get up. Either I go to the kitchen, maybe go to the market to get it. So it'll move me. So this movement is better than the laziness or the inertia. And that is why desire is a helper at a certain stage in our life. Because if I'm falling in love, for example, usually I don't take care of myself, I don't take shower in 10 days, whatever, the way I live. But if I fall in love with someone, the so-called love that we see everywhere, we see that to meet that person, I would get fresh, get ready, maybe some perfume, something, maybe go 100 miles away, wherever the person lives, to meet. So again, there is a movement. And this movement, what it does is, I may of course get blows on the way, I may get rejection in love and feel insulted at times, too much expectation, all of that can be there, will be there. But through that, it will make me learn lessons. And through lessons, I will grow. I'll have progress in life. When I have progress in life, there is joy. So that's why desire is a helper on the way. But when we have done that enough, that the movement was only because of any desire, when we have done that enough, there comes a point that there is something higher that we get connected with that moves me. So now I don't need a desire to get up at 4. I just get up at 4, for example. I'm not saying that I get up at 4, but generally, if I want to do something, it is right, I'll do it, without question. And there's no need of desire being there. And in desire, there is also disappointment that we have to see. If the desire is fulfilled, there is a gratification for temporary gratification. And if the desire is not fulfilled, there is disappointment. So now, even if, one knows that whatever path one is following, it's like a, higher calling, one is connected with a higher presence, then one gets that fulfillment in that higher presence and, connection with that higher self. And then there is no need for disappointment, in that sense that, okay, this is what was expected, but that did not come. Of course, you will work to refine it. The work will go on, but no need for these fluctuations that are there, which are there in some stage of our life. Yeah. So that was on, just I thought I'll mention on desire. Yeah. So are we ready to move ahead? This is what we took. Yeah.
Ma'am, you were saying something in the end about how desires will lead to disappointment, but then you said something in the end. Can you please repeat that?
I think I must
About
have. Yeah. So I was sharing that the desire leads to disappointment, because when I'm living through desires and desires rule me, I'm living through a sense of lack, right? And I'm identified with that ego consciousness, which is full of that lack. So to fulfill that lack, I want to add on something, eat something, consume something. It gives me a satisfaction, like, okay, now I am full. Like eating also gives us a satisfaction. Now I am full. And I can't stand that lack. So that lack is a disappointment. So if I'm not fulfilling that desire, I feel, oh my God, how? And we don't know how to be with that emptiness which is there within us. We are not good friends with that emptiness. We repel it, and we want to fulfill it with all the stuff. So this is one half of our life where we are ruled by desires. But yeah, after that, maybe I don't know which part you are talking of. I may just continue to blabber. Yeah.
Oh no, it's about how to not be disappointed if one's desire is not fulfilled, and not get distracted, not get. The reason I was asking this question in the first place is, um, we had a couple of examples of how one said that he or she cannot live without the sweets. So, let's say if I assume sweets are a desire and if there is a sadhak, and he's praying to the mother that I don't want sweets every day. And every day he's saying that, I want to be your slave. I don't want these desires. I'm not happy in the state I am. And every day he's failing because, it doesn't just change overnight. So, first of all, if I'm not wrong, is this a good desire to to beg for a sadhak to beg to the mother that just make me your slave, take this ego out of me? And if this is a good desire, then um, if one is failing, then if one is failing, then how is one able to still continue in the progress without, like you said, without getting distracted with petty things that will fill the gap?
Yeah,
That
beautiful.
was the question.
Yes, yes. So first of all, the first thing you said that is it possible to not get disappointed? Now, an example that you were connecting with, I also wanted to take you there, that if it's like asking that, is it possible not to get ill even if I continue to consume sweets? Not possible. So if I continue to have desire, continue to run after those desire, trying to fulfill it, it is impossible that I am away from ek thali ke chatte batte, two sides of the coin, duality. If I feel that something is added on to me by fulfilling it, it is impossible that when that is not fulfilled, something doesn't feel subtracted from me. Two sides है ना, एक ही चीज के two sides हैं और इसी के बीच में हम पिसते रहते हैं. दैट्स व्हाट कबीर जी सेज, चलती चाकी देख के दिया कबीरा रोए, दो पाटन के बीच में साबुत बचाना कोई. सो इन दीज टू स्टोन्स ऑफ लाइक व्हाट वी कॉल मिल, इंडिया में होती है ना, grind these wheat, for example, make flour out of it. So if I want something and that fulfills me, it is almost a stupidity to want that if that want is not fulfilled, then it should not disappoint me, है ना, क्योंकि वो एक ही थाली के चट्टे बट्टे हैं. So this is clear. Then the other thing that you were sharing is that, is it a good desire when I am asking ki, please, this is troubling me so much and please take it away from me, take it away from me. I don't want to live this life. Now in this, what is happening? Jalebi is right in front of me. And I am sitting, I have nothing to do. Berozgar, unemployed, no good work, nothing wherever my energies can be channelized. Every day I'm sitting 24 hours a day and jalebi is in front of me. It will be a failure. What we need is to channelize those energies. That is our issue. Our energies are not channelized in proper directions. Like, a child, little children, you will have seen. Those of us who have children, they may have seen, or otherwise you could have seen other children, little ones. If you keep them in very little area, smaller ones, younger ones, they will be tantrumy. We call them, oh, the child is throwing a lot of tantrums. You take them out, put them in a muddy water, slush, whatever. You will be, as if you don't have any children. They'll be enjoying themselves for whatever hours, as long as you let them. So it means that those energies, which when they are in four walls, they are called tantrums. And when the same energy is occupied at a place which is a rightful occupation for that age and that person, then you see there is no problem. Then that child will not be saying, oh, buy me something, I want that lollipop, I want that. No, because his energies are rightfully occupied. So this is what we have to do with ourselves. Each one of us, mother says, I am just reiterating her words only, these are not my words. She says that each one of us is imbued with special qualities, special latent talents, special ones, very unique permutation combination. So billions of us, and not even a single one are even twins. They are not alike. They have a special combination. And she says that this is what we have to dig out, our inherent strengths, and we have to nurture. Otherwise, I can keep sitting in front of that jalebi and I'll be a failure. I'll not be able to transcend the desire. It is impossibility. Because everybody wants that fulfillment which comes through a right occupation. So when the channel energy or channel, when you are saying that, okay, make me your slave, then if I want to be your slave, first of all, I have to be very comfortable with that emptiness within and not trying to fulfill it up with just anything, any garbage. No? Then, secondly, whatever little work I do during the day or more work, that has to be like a servitude. Like I do it as an offering. Whether it's a corporate, people get very sick of corporate life and they do work like for the hell of it. I think it's a very sad attitude today. So, anyway, if the job is giving you money which you need for your family, just do it with a sense of devotion, can't we? If we have to do it, either I have a choice that, okay, leave this and I want to do something more meaningful. But if I don't have a choice, then mother says that do it with a lot of devotion. So that slave thing that you were sharing, that can come here, that I am your slave, this is the work you have given me. Can I do it with devotion and disinterestedness, selflessness, self-forgetfulness, and do it as beautifully as you would do, even if it was like earning you crores of money. It is not getting you anything, just pennies, but still you do it beautifully. So that is how the unfolding happens. And mother says that when we are at a stage that we have been doing acts as an act of servitude, slowly life takes us to a place where you find the whatever, the true calling of your heart, as they say. That, okay, this is what I can do for the rest of my life. And I'll not be bored. So that is the path I feel that one has to take. It's going to be a failure if I'm just lying around and saying no to desires. They will overcrowd me, they will overpower me, because as so far I'm not a Jivan Mukta. Yeah. So rightfully, meaningfully occupying ourselves.
Oh, ma'am, this is fantastic. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just remembered, when you were talking about if someone is working in a corporate, life. I've seen my father go to the peak and also stay at rock bottom. He was in all stages of life, and I've never once seen him, had have a sad face. Was always smiling and joking around with his colleagues and stuff. And I would ask him that, you were one time I had to drop him in my city, and I saw that the place wasn't the same like where you used to work before. And I asked him like, why are you doing this? Like this is I cannot see you like this. And he did tell me the same thing, that this is my service to the mother. He would tell me in Telugu, of course, but he would tell me that the mother gave me this, so I have to do it perfectly. And I never understood it. So now that you're saying it, it reminds me of those words again. So thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, anything? Anyone here?
Yes, so I also had something to share in very similar lines. So, yeah, I was also recently observing my father and sort of admiring the type of attitude that he has in terms of the work, right? So many a times things are not as it goes, and in his line of work, there's an interaction with a lot of people. So it's actually very very rare that sometimes the money doesn't turn up on time, or there are delays, unexpected delays, bureaucracy, all that comes into picture. But I've never seen, like, I will not be able to figure out when he is stressed or let down. But the same thing with me, it is very obvious. It is like written on my face when I'm upset about something. So the one thing that he was sharing recently was that, whatever happens, I know mother will not let me down. So that I've not sensed any sense of fear in him at all. Like, however the situation may go, he said, there's not been one day where she has let me down and it will never happen. So that what takes him through. So that, yeah, really struck with me. It's similar to what Jagan was sharing.
Yeah, beautiful. And so inspirational that yes, we have people living around us and who can do this. So it means we can do this, so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, anything else? Anyone at this?
No, that Acharya had this line. He had a video titled that the race was won by the one who did not run. I'll repeat that. The race was won by the one who did not run. So, as in, we do most of the things out of a feverishness, out of a desire that may, I'm empty, and when I'll get that, this is where I'll reach, or this is what it will give me. So, that is desire driven. But if you're already complete, and now that you are doing something just for the joy of it, then there is no disappointment. Or if it is, it's very superficial that, oh, nahi hua, oh, okay, fine, what goes of my father, kind of a thing. So again, that desire, without desire, kind of disappointment is only possible when I'm not approaching things with a sense of lack. I am complete, I have everything, and yet this looks interesting. Oh, why not? Let me do it. So there is no, my precious or that greed and feverishness when it's not with that. It's a very different type of living and wanting or moving towards something. You get or you not get it really. It's like, okay, what's next? You don't have time to waste there and say, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And it also connects us with what in Buddhism or Jetsunma shares about, being non-sticky. So you are in the middle of things, you are involved, but nothing sticks. Yeah. I think that's why maybe at times it's so difficult with our bent of mind to understand what these people, masters, mystics, avatars, what they have done or did through their life, because we see it through our own lens. And for example, if I see Sri Aurobindo smoking a cigar, I would say, "Oh my God, Sri Aurobindo smoking a cigar." But from the place where he's smoking a cigar, it's not from that what you were saying, from that sticky point, or the sense of lack. He can drop cigar as effortlessly as he may pick cigar, but we don't live from that space, so that's why it sticks to us that how can Sri Aurobindo pick up cigar? you know he also addicted, because that's how we look at it. Yeah, yeah. So it's hard to understand. Yes. So I think maybe now we can touch upon a little of reason when it becomes a bar. So Jagan can be happy about that. Yeah. So would anyone want to read this for us?
I would love to read this. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So, reason as a bar. But man arrives at a stage in his evolution when reason becomes the greatest bar to his further advance. What would have happened if our being had refused to outgrow the rule of instincts and impulses and develop the mind of reason? It would have condemned itself to the vicious circle of desires and suffering, and there would have been no escape from it. I will just read that one more time. What would have happened if Our being had refused to outgrow the rule of instincts and impulses and develop the mind of reason. It would have condemned itself to the vicious circle of desires and suffering, and there would have been no escape from it. But fortunately, it was made to forego the easy guidance of instincts and impulses and press forward towards a more developed mind of reason and discrimination and reflection and evolve the higher potentialities of its consciousness and nature. Now that it has developed reason, it must be its constant aspiration and effort to purify it of all alloy, foster its growth towards perfection, and then proceed beyond it in search of higher instruments of knowledge. It would be as irrational for it to cling onto reason in spite of its intrinsic deficiencies and limitations and refuse to advance in evolution as it would have been if it had clung onto the sense mind onto the sense mind of the animal and refused to rise towards the life of reason. And strange to say, it is this very thing, this irrational refusal to transcend reason, that is one of the basic causes of the present crisis in civilization. One notices with wonder a certain uncanny dread, even in the most enlightened elite of humanity, of trying to rise beyond reason and seek for a better instrument of knowledge than this blinkered arbiter of our life. Ant's mind sought to reach after intuition, but could not cut its moorings in reason. The same dread is discernible in Jung, the leading psychologist, who at times appears to be almost touching the fringes of the psychic and the spiritual, and then recoiling in sudden alarm lest he should lose the safe anchorage of reason and find himself floundering in the uncharted unknown. It must be borne in mind that an endeavor of our consciousness to transcend reason does not mean surrendering our reason to the sub-rational forces of our nature. Transcendence is the law of all earthly beings. Not to aspire and strive for self-transcendence is to obstruct the onward march of evolution. The present impasse is partly due to this evolutionary bottleneck. But more of this later on. For the moment, let us see what are the inherent limitations of our reason. Thank you.
Yeah, so how beautifully he guides us that just as very logically speaking, mind has to be the master of body and life and emotions and vital impulses and all of that. Mind has to be the regulator. That is how logically it has to go on. And now, after mind, something else has to come, which is higher than the mind in knowing, because mind knows by senses, and senses have limitations. It's like I have a camera, that camera may be 50 mm, the lens. It may not look that far, but then there is somebody else with a different camera, so our senses are limited in, and even with that bigger lens, there would be bigger lenses, then there would be bigger lenses. So no matter how big, it is still limited. It doesn't have a full vision. So our senses are like those tools which enable us to see, but they have limitations. What to do? So is there anything higher which without the use of sense makes us see? And no, that is what he is sharing, that we have to go ahead. We don't have to stop, okay, itna bahut hai hamare liye, but because we see that we don't really understand people, we don't really know, that's why we have clashes, that's why we have wars, because I am saying this and you are saying this, you are also right, I am also right, okay, let's fight. So how to reach a place of harmony where one develops a knowing, and through that knowing a harmony is developed. So we see that we fail there we fail. Even if I'm using reason to its best, I can't create that fullness in knowing. And that's where he says that something must be there which is higher than the limitation that we have right now, although so far it helped us to see. And again, I think this was also very beautiful how he talks about two of these philosophers and psychologists, and he says that as if they were on the, like, the edge of it, the fringe of it, they begin to touch the psychic, but could not dare to venture it into it, because as if they would lose the anchor of, yahan se anchor chhoot jayega. And that is what they call, it's a leap of faith, because there is a phase in which one doesn't know. And Sri Aurobindo talks about this. Many people write to him saying that, am I getting dumb? My mind is not that active as it used to be. And he says that this is what, it's like a phase that has to come, because now mind is silent. It is preparing for the higher knowledge to descend. And we are not accustomed to that silence and emptiness. So we think that, am I getting dumb? Because what we are accustomed to is a continuous chatter in the mind. Oh, what to do about this now, what to do about this, okay, how to manage that, how to, so this is what we think, okay, this is life. And see, my mind is how active. This is what we relate with an active functional mind. But we have not seen another function of mind which comes through stillness, when it becomes capable of receiving that higher knowledge which just knows. It doesn't know through senses, but it knows. So for that, to get ready for that, there comes a time where it's as if a leap of faith has to be there. One has to be friends with that emptiness, silence, quietude, whatever we may call. Yeah, anything, anyone?
Yeah, I'm thinking a lot of things. Yes, he mentions Kant and Jung, and I think maybe it's especially difficult for someone who, like them, works in a scientific field, or you have a work to do which requires reasoning and writing. So you could be seen as crazy if you can't follow in your work the lines of reason. Also, I think sometimes this is something Ken Wilber talked a lot about, and it has to do with the work of Jung. I mean, for example, that we have like the reason. Below reason, we have all the development of the instincts and of our childhood, the pre-rational stages, and then we have beyond reason, such as the transpersonal realm or the post-rational, spiritual realm. And sometimes we get confused even in the academic thinking and in psychology and in spirituality. We tend to be confused between what is pre-rational and what is trans-rational, because they are both beyond reason. So sometimes we may, for example, try to be to not follow the mind or the reasoning, and then follow something that is even beyond, even worse. Let's say, like we go to our desires, instincts, and we may confuse that with what is something spiritual. It's a tricky thing.
Absolutely, I think,
And,
yes,
and these texts we have been reading are talking about this, like
yes,
cling to ration to the rational mind till it matures enough and we are beyond the instinctual
yes,
desires. And
yes, yes, yes. And also we see, so see, what I want to, I think I'll just reshare what you were sharing. You were sharing that the aspect of life from appearance, from appearance to lives. One is a pre-rational life, life which is lower than reason, where reason is not the master, and then there is a life which is beyond reason. So from a superficial overlook, both of them may appear same, but we may mistake it, and that is why very soon, without developing our reason, we actually think, oh, it we have to flow, so flow with our desires, flow with our impulses. So yes, we have to flow, but we have to flow after reason. Beyond reason we have to flow, but until reason has to be developed, there we need to put effort. See, we talk about effortlessness, that life has to be effortless, but we don't see that for that effortlessness we have to put so much effort. We have to make what you were sharing, we have to develop reason, develop a well developed individuality. So much effort it requires, train ourselves, discipline ourselves, so that the effortlessness of that intuitive higher reasoning is there. And that is what we see with musical instruments, or anybody who is trained like an art musician or anything. We see them performing on stage, oh, effortless, this is what I want to do, so I pick up a guitar, I just like effortlessly play, but no music. So we don't see that how many hours of training has to be put before actually becoming effortless. So those masters, or what we were seeing, the examples of Jagan and what Meera was sharing, these people, we don't really see how much effort they have put in their sadhana, that they are now at a stage which appears like they can be, without any disappointment. So yes, yeah, very important.
now you said it beautifully.
Yeah. And that's why I think many of us, they, like, we resort to very freely using drugs and sexual abuse and all of that in the name of flow with it. But we don't see that if at this stage I will flow, that flow will be of the animal instincts and impulses. So it has to first become a flow of reason, before it can be really effortless. And I have seen in, I've just a small experience that I had, not a very good one, in Auroville, where I was interacting with somebody who has been grown up in Auroville, and they consume some, substances and whatever, and how nicely they were trying to hide it under what mother shared. Mother said this and mother said that, and that is why, we can do this. So yeah, we really can go haywire. Yes.
In fact, mother was alive in the bloom of this psychedelic culture, and she was very clear about it, like these psychedelic experiences that the people are having with drugs, they think they are spiritual experiences, but they are not really. They are experiences mostly in the vital realm, and this is very tricky. This is not really a spiritual experience.
Yeah, yeah. But then the how nicely we use reason for wrong reasons. That the person who I was interacting with, she was sharing that no, she did not share what you just shared. That mother was not in favor of use of psychedelics. She shared some quotation of the mother and tweaked it in her own way so that we can continue use drugs, and also put mother in favor of use of drugs. How amazing. And that day I remember I had shared with Taru, I was devastated, it actually brought me to tears when, and I had to leave that place. I was at a friend's place and I just said, oh my God, I like my heart was choked. How can this happen? But this can happen. And I think that also makes us like sure that if we have sincerity, we can develop with mother's presence anywhere throughout the world, wherever we are. And if we are insincere in the nose, under the nose of the mother, this can happen, what is happening, for example. So good things can also happen everywhere, bad things can also happen everywhere. It only depends on what is my inner attitude.
Yeah, Sri Aurobindo in some book, I don't remember, he speaks about this, like the mind sometimes works like an advocate of the lower vital, like giving an explanation. Oh, we do this all the time, maybe with smaller things, but like we use the reasoning and the mind to justify something that what we really know it's not good, but it's a wrong use of reason.
Absolutely, very true, very true. And that is why reason can't be trusted fully. And that is why reason has to be purified, it has to be pure reason. Because my reason is biased, and if I would think that, see, if two people are fighting with each other, they have good reasons that I have full reason why I should be angry. Here, this one also says I have, see, I can develop, pura logical flow chart that how I should be angry at you. So what you were sharing, that reason, since there is vehemence, there is power in emotions and vital impulses. So reason gets overpowered and becomes a slave of those impulses and begins to defend them. So that is how a wrong use of reason can happen, and happens, as you were sharing. Yes. So even that has to be purified. Reason has to get purified. So to see, at least that, I think if we even have that ability, that I see that my reason is impure, it's not purified. I think that's a very big step on the path, because then at least I would not trust it. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Anything more here?
Yeah, when we were reading the original text, this visual of, say, an aeroplane and a rocket kind of was coming to me, that an aeroplane is, it's left the earth, like it can fly, it's flying in the skies, it's using gravity and all, to kind of fly, and it feels that it's achieving something, it's taking people from here and there. But if one needs to escape earth, then no matter how much power or fuel we give to an aeroplane, it cannot escape gravity. For escaping that realm, a different kind of tool is needed, right? Like, although it seems that, oh my God, it can fly so high that one could never think that I can fly that high. And yet, for greater depth, for higher heights, a different instrument which defies gravity. And that's why it's scary, because I've never been without gravity, right? Like, and yet now it's saying that no, escape velocity, right? Touch that and you'll reach the other end. But for that, I need to have a lot of understanding, knowledge, full thing of how did happen and what will happen So again, that fear, that uncertainty, yet that knowledge and faith and wanting to escape the regular thing. Yeah, so something like that.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think nowadays they have a spacecraft which, while going up, it goes like a rocket, so defies gravity. And while coming back, I think they call it spaceship, I guess. While coming back, it actually flies like a plane. So just extending the visual that you were sharing, that with that greater knowing that we get in touch with, both planes are benefited, the even that also smooth glide. Yeah. Because many a times we have confusions that, oh, if I become spiritual, what will happen of my practical life? It means that I have no idea about spirituality. Because spirituality makes simple this practical life only, which we make unnecessarily complicated. There were one person who is really a learned person, I was talking to, and he was just asking, I can't remember the exact thing. Yeah, maybe what is the difference that happens? We were discussing on this thing, that what is the difference that happens by while being on the path for a long time. And what he shared was really very beautiful. He said that one can take things easily. Like, okay, so what? Nothing is too huge. Like, okay, divorce happens. Okay, so what? Lost your money, lost this, lost that. So what? So one can take things simply. And how beautiful. Yeah. So, reason as a bar. So I think we should maybe rest here, rest our reason and mind here. And maybe we next time we can begin with limitations of reason, that why, what I think that would come, what Yuan was sharing, that how reason gets overpowered by the impulses, that should be a part of this limitations of reason. So this will take next time. Yeah, anyone wants to add on any last comments? Yeah, Nandini, I think is here. Yes, Deepa, you want to share, please?
Um, my insight is not as deep as what you all have been speaking, but something comes to my mind, something very simple day to day. Um, as a child, I was very curious, and my parents always encouraged that spark in me. And I noticed that I took it too far later on, because once I got married and you're in that relationship, um, I never even realized. But the smallest things, I would always say why. And giving a very small example, let's say my husband told me, okay, give me the car keys. But before I could give him the car keys, I'll ask why. Like the question is, are you going somewhere out or something like that? The thought, the question, the reason was so important for me before I could just, um, cede to his request. So he found that very odd that for everything that he asked or requested, there was always a why in my, and for me, it was like a normal language of communication. Why this, why that? For me, it felt like every action required a reason. And for him, it felt as though there was nothing unconditional about me. Um, Everything had to fit into a slot, everything had to have a reason, and only then it is feasible, only then it is adequate, only then it is reason enough to act on. So what I realized was there were probably my relationships were very conditional, very reason based. What happens is it stops the flow of, I think, in a certain way, love, affection, surrender, as you all mentioned. And it was interesting because initially I did get offended, but because it was so contrary to what the way I had been brought up. But I think over time, over maturity, as you learn more things in life, you realize that not everything needs to be questioned. um, the questioning, the reasoning is for us to make sense of life, but sometimes you have to let it go to also see what is life beyond that reason.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. We also have to see that right now what we are discussing is just like a little bit of life. So when we are talking about reason, we are right now not talking about developing the heart. We are not talking about developing the body. We are not talking about developing that inner spark that you were sharing. We are just talking of reason. And this could be a very limited window. So, we may feel that, oh, just reason, 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 where is the heart? But we have to see that we are only talking right now about one branch, one just little thing that as a tool has to be developed. And just like every tool, like a knife, I can't misuse knife, no? With knife, I am switching off the fan. With knife, I am going to the bathroom. So knife has a proper use at its proper place. And as you said correctly, that at times the knife need not be used. What you were sharing, that we have to let go, means that you put the tool away and you say, right now in this space, I don't need that tool anymore. Maybe my heart is needed here. Self-giving is needed. In love, mother talks about love. That's what I was actually going to mention, since Nandini was asking about disinterested love. And what by chance your sharing also took us towards that. So, height of human love, what can it be? A total self-giving. Because usually we start with asking, asking, asking. And we see that nobody is contented in asking. Neither the asking party nor the giving one. The giving one is feeling drained, I can't, please maaf karo, let me have my life. And the asking party again drained, because it can never be fulfilled. So if there is a true love, if any amount of if I want to refine my love, right now we were talking about refining reason. So there is also a part which I have to discuss, how to refine love. And love has to be purified from the mixture of wants, expectations, desires. So if I asked that, why are you doing this, what you were sharing, so when love is involved, that answer doesn't matter. So it's very interesting to see how these different facets of life, and that is why Sri Aurobindo's yoga is about perfection of the being, that each aspect of our life right now, however it's impure, it's not purified. So my task, our task as human beings, we have been given this light of consciousness which can see. I can see where is dal, where is the kala. So pick out the kala, purify. So purify love, purify reason, purifying the body, purifying emotions, feelings. That is where we go. Yes, Nandini, we have already talked about disinterested love. Now we are all on the path. You've lost the time. Where were you? You got disconnected. Just pulling your leg. Yeah, anything in particular, Nandini, would you like to share about your question on the group? Okay, don't know. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Can you hear? Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah.
I don't know what's happened to my video, but something has. Okay. So, anyway, let me say this. So, yesterday, when in the prayers and meditation that you mentioned, right, the disinterested, I mean, there was, I got the part, when one is not, right? I mean, you're not in that self, right? Constantly saying that I am the one who's giving. Could you just expand a little more, like when you can cultivate that, like not just from a very, not after a certain stage, or how do you do it when, when even sometimes when you are in, like when you're young, right? Then there's always that thing that I am the one who's doing it. So from the beginning, how do you cultivate that? Is my question there?
Yeah, are you asking for yourself, or are you asking in general?
No. One is I'm asking also for myself. And but if if you had to sort of talk to like I have a young daughter, and there is, you see that aspect right now, no? There is a lot of I right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is that, but sometimes just to not to give any nuggets of, not about nuggets of wisdom or anything, but just when sometimes in conversation, when they understand that part, that, oh, yes, there are other ways of also cultivating something like this, it's not always about me.
Yeah. I
How do
think,
you, yeah,
yeah, first of all, the atmosphere is so important,
right.
and if I, as a parent, am not a shining example of disinterested love, which most of us are not,
Mm, mm,
I wonder how can it be cultivated in my children.
mm,
And right now, the examples that in the beginning Jagan was sharing about his father, or Meera was sharing about her father. See, these are the things which may be around us. We are getting influenced by them. People may not directly give us gyan, but they are
mm,
having an impact on our life. These are the best, I think, ways, the molding through presence. And that is what is the onus on us as parents and caretakers, because if my knowledge is a true knowledge, then that should just by presence effect.
mm.
At times words may be required, but I can't do this teaching of a gyan, especially to a teenager. No, forget about it. In
Yeah,
fact, at this phase of life, it is important that a individuality now it's getting cultivated. So I
right,
is important. I is
right.
important here.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can't fast forward the process, no?
Mm, mm, mm,
So that I is a temporary individuality that the teenager wants. That no, you may want this, you may follow the mother. I don't want to follow the mother. No.
mm.
So he may rebel. So, and I think at times